Darkwood soared through the peaks of the Stormhorn Mountains on a clear, moonless night. The stars glittered in the obsidian sky as he glided on the cold northern winds, eyes searching the ground below for the cavern entrance. Spotting the familiar shadowy chasm near the roots of the valley, he dove, swooping into the enormous mouth of the cave. Darkwood landed. The cavern's main canyon room, as expansive as a cathedral, welcomed him with a gentle embrace as he shifted into his human form. In the heart of the canyon room lay the Ebon Mere, the Black Mirror, the Lake of Dragons, serene and silent. Above a vast opening at the apex of the room, the moon roof pierced the mountain, allowing the stars to stream in and dance upon the reflective waters. This sanctuary of stillness and solitude, cherished by all dragons, was one of Darkwood's favorite places. The quiet, dark waters offered a balm for his weary soul. At the far end of the room, the wall of prayer candles flickered serenely through the darkness, each flame reflecting the heart's hope of one of his kin. He closed his eyes, listening to the water droplets dripping from the stalactites and the gentle lapping of the lake at the shore's edge. A peaceful smile played across his face as he opened his eyes and gazed through the moon roof. With no moon to veil them, the stars twinkled in the velvet night sky as diamonds lighting the heavens. His gaze returned to the Ebon Mere, its surface a perfect mirror of the night sky, except it reflected the moon. He glanced up again. No moon. Yet, on the surface of the Ebon Mere, a full moon shone brightly. His eyes followed the moon reflection to the edge of the lake where a woman stood, her silver-white hair mirrored in the black lake. He walked toward her, his footsteps crunching on the small rocks around the lake. She stood peering into the Ebon Mere, her back to him, unaware of his presence. Just as he reached out to touch her, she turned, her white hair falling away from her face to reveal ocean blue eyes. The eyes of a witch, gazing at him with an innocent expression.
Iris,
he said softly.
You should not be here.
She smelled of water and moonlight, and when he touched her arm, her skin was as cool as a mountain stream fed by melted snow, soothing the latent heat he carried as a dragon.
Lord Darkwood,
she whispered. Darkwood opened his eyes, waking from the dream to the morning light streaming through the small attic window of the Horse and Wheel. Iris lay beside him, curled into his chest like a kitten, seeking warmth and comfort. He reached over and gently brushed away the hair that had fallen over her cheek. Her face was peaceful, reflecting the love and kindness that had shaped her childhood in her quiet village. He sighed and leaned back onto his pillow.
I do not need this,
he whispered to himself. Sitting up on the edge of the bed, he put his head in his hands, rubbing the back of his head and tousling his hair. He sighed again.
I deliver her to Ebon Keep today,
he commanded himself quietly.
And be done with it.
Iris awoke to Lord Darkwood, gently nudging her.
Iris, get up. It is time to go.
It took her a moment to remember where she was, who she was with, and what she was doing.
Lord Darkwood,
she murmured in recognition.
Yes,
he replied, watching her eyes flutter open as she stirred back into reality.
It is time to get up, Iris.
He stood by the hearth, dressed in his coat and shoes, waiting with intent. She recalled falling asleep with him in the chair and wondered if he had slept at all. With no fire in the hearth, the spring morning lent a chill to the air. Iris, being from the Southlands, was unaccustomed to such brisk mornings. She did not know how many leagues north they had travelled yesterday. Although she loved maps, she was unsure of the distance from her village, Riverside Millbury, to Grimswell Crossroads. She crawled out of bed, the morning air cool against her skin. With a quick splash of cold water from the basin, she washed her face, feeling the freshness awaken her senses. Darkwood's impatience was palpable. She brushed her teeth hastily and tied her hair into a messy bun, her fingers working swiftly as he urged her out of the room. As they walked out of the attic room, he set the ugly hat upon her head.
You must wear this.
He commanded softly.
You have an obsession with this hat.
I have an obsession with your hair. Wear the hat.
Not wishing to argue, she obediently wore the hat.
Why do we hasten, sir?
She asked.
If we are to make Ebon Keep by nightfall, we must leave soon.
Atterbury was absent, so Darkwood asked Martha, the overnight server, to fetch him.
And breakfast as well, Martha.
Yes, sir.
And one breakfast with no meat.
Darkwood said, striving to conceal the incredulity in his voice.
Yes, sir.
Replied Martha, unperturbed by either the request or his thinly veiled skepticism.
I shall bring your breakfast and find Mr. Atterbury.
Thank you, Martha.
Iris and Darkwood were at the same secluded table from the previous night when Martha brought their breakfast. Fresh bread, cheese, milk, and eggs for Iris, and the same for Darkwood, but with added pork sausages and black pudding. Iris was grateful Atterbury was not at hand, the delay tempering Darkwood's impatience. The early morning sun cast a warm glow over the room, and a fire crackled in the hearth. The smell of freshly baked bread and brewed tea filled the air as Martha and John attended to the few patrons who were awake. Iris loved it all. They had just finished their breakfast when Atterbury joined them.
Ye off, then?
He asked with a hearty smile.
Yes, we have a long way to travel. Iris,
Darkwood said, turning his attention to her.
remain here. I must pay my bill.
Atterbury, being a man of both experience and discretion, understood that Iris remain here meant, Atterbury, I wish to speak with you alone. The sparsely occupied main room provided privacy by the bar.
Please do not mention Iris to anyone, or anything that happened last night with the magistrate.
Darkwood said quietly to Atterbury.
He's a piece of work, he is. Course, you made short work of him last night.
Atterbury laughed.
Folks forget ye a dragon. Till they don't. I won't mention the young lass.
Atterbury said, nodding towards Iris across the room. Darkwood followed Atterbury's gaze. Iris was sitting at the table with a bucolic smile on her face, looking around the room and soaking in the atmosphere. Darkwood chuckled.
There's little you could say of her in any case. I know not of her. I don't know who she is.
She don't know who she is.
Replied Atterbury.
Well, thank you for your discretion.
Darkwood said, holding out his hand.
That's what Ebon Keep does. Providing lodging and keeping secrets.
Atterbury replied, shaking Darkwood's hand.
You are excellent at both. And may I buy Mrs. Atterbury's hat from you?
That hat ain't worth paying for. The missus will be glad to be rid of it.
Thank you, again.
Darkwood pulled some coins out of his pocket and handed them to Atterbury.
For food, lodging, and
He smiled.
keeping secrets. By chance, do you know where the vile Siderius might be? I wish to avoid him if possible.
He left at first light. He's after something. He's a hound on a scent after some prize that flown. He was deep in his drink last night, Going on about paying a fortune for the creature, and up and run away. Not that I blame the poor thing. Probably ill-treated by such a master.
I do not care what he hunts, as long as I do not cross paths with him. Farewell, Atterbury, until we meet again.
You'll not say a goodbye to me here. I'll not be rude to the young miss.
Atterbury admonished, his brow wrinkled. They rejoined Iris at the small table. Atterbury offered a lively goodbye, shaking her hand with enthusiasm.
I hope to see you again. You're always welcome at mine.
Thank you, Mr. Atterbury.
She said, with a warm smile.
This has been my first adventure outside of my village, and it could not have been more pleasant. Thank you.
Come, Iris.
Darkwood said, helping her to her feet.
With any luck, we will complete our journey today. The Stormhorn Mountains are not far now.
They stepped outside into the crisp morning air. The town was slowly waking, with a few pedestrians and minimal traffic, as they retraced their steps through Grimswell Crossroads. The early sunlight cast long shadows across the quiet, closed shops. Cobblestone roads gradually gave way to dirt paths, and the earthy aroma of the town shifted to the sweet fragrance of blooming flowers and fresh grass. The vibrant colours and sounds of spring surrounded them, with wildflowers dotting the fields and birds singing in the trees. As they left the town, Darkwood unceremoniously plucked the ugly hat from her head, folding it roughly before tucking it inside his coat pocket.
You are a strange dragon,
she remarked, feeling more at ease to joke with him.
I have my reasons,
he said with a smile. Darkwood did not go as far outside of town as he had the previous day when they had landed. In the first field they crossed, he turned back into his dragon form, his crimson scales shimmering in the morning light. He waited patiently for Iris to climb upon his back. Though not as frightened as the day before, Iris still found his dragon form formidable, with deep growls rumbling in his chest, and his sharp horns and teeth gleaming in the sun. However, Iris now felt a sense of happiness and comfort from her time at the inn with Lord Darkwood. She knew him better, and as they ascended to the clouds, she began to enjoy the ride. As they soared above winding rivers and quiet cottages, she marveled at the picturesque landscape below. The patchwork of vibrant green fields and rustic farmhouses looked like a living tapestry from her lofty vantage point. They followed the Great North Road towards the Stormhorn Mountains, its path cutting through the serene countryside. The early morning light cast a golden hue over the scene, and her friend, the North Wind, blew playfully around them, keeping her company. She was flying to his domain in the north, and looked forward to enjoying his liveliness more often. With the sparse traffic on the Great North Road, Iris easily recognized Sir Darius and his men below. She was grateful to be flying safely above them, avoiding any interactions. They had flown a bit farther past Sir Darius when Iris noticed the North Wind becoming more assertive and determined. He would circle around her, then fly away, only to repeat the action. Feeling Darkwood's comforting warmth beneath her, and the bright spring day being so inviting, Iris found it easy to ground herself and slip out of time to see what the North Wind wanted. The North Wind said nothing. He sped away and made a terrible fuss in a copse of trees on the horizon. She squinted to see better. An iridescent white light shimmered in the trees. She continued to watch it as they flew closer. It flickered and seemed weak. She leaned in as close as she could to Darkwood's head, near his ear.
Do you see that?
she hollered.
Iris, I can hear you.
He rumbled.
You need not yell.
Do you see that?
She asked again, in a normal voice.
See what?
To our left, in that copse of trees.
I see nothing.
There's a light. We must stop.
We are not stopping, Iris.
We must stop.
She insisted, her voice filled with urgency.
I tell you, we must stop.
Iris.
Began Darkwood, but Iris interrupted.
Please, Lord Darkwood, we must stop.
Within an embarrassingly short time of meeting Iris, Darkwood had discovered that as she called him by his name, or said please, he was powerless against her requests.
I do not like this.
He muttered.
There,
She said, pointing, although she did not know if Darkwood could see her.
in that little grove of elms.
Darkwood landed. And Iris quickly jumped down.
Iris.
Darkwood admonished as she began to run off. He growled, spreading his wings wide in a defensive stance.
I do not know what mysterious light you see, but I do not like this.
The urgency Iris felt to find the weak, flickering light completely obscured any fear she might have had towards Darkwood as he growled and stomped.
Good God, man.
She replied, matching his forcefulness.
You would scare the life out of the ghost. Stand down.
She glanced back at the woods to see if the light remained, then turned to Darkwood, still in dragon form and growling.
Stand down, Lord Darkwood.
She repeated. Then her voice quieted, becoming more worried as she said,
There is no danger here.
Begrudgingly, he transformed into his human form.
And how can you be so certain that there's no danger?
I feel it. I sense only fear, like the fluttering of a baby rabbit's heart.
Iris crept slowly into the grove, following the flickering light. Darkwood protectively followed close behind her. As they rounded a large elm, a young girl, no more than 13, looked up at them with terrified eyes. She was crouched at the foot of the tree, trying to make herself as small as possible. Though her clothes were expensive, they were blackened and torn, and the dirt on her face was stained with tear streaks. Her long, white, feathered wings were tangled and covered in mud, and one lay limply on the ground, broken at an unnatural angle. Though Iris had never met an ethereal before, she had read about them and immediately recognized the young girl as a child of the Aerie. Surprised and worried, Iris looked back at Darkwood, who was frowning. He crouched down next to the young girl and said softly,
Do not worry, little one. We will have you at the Aerie by nightfall.